Today we're going to talk about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. We're going to talk about a specific sutra, probably the most famous sutra in the West, whether we know it or not. It's probably the one that informs how we do yoga the most, and that's Yoga Sutra 246. So, welcome to Yoga How To. Let's get into it. Okay, so how we're going to break this down is we're going to look at several different interpretations or translations of Patanjali's sutra. So the sutra itself is Sthira, Sukham, āsanam. Sthira, Sukham, āsanam. 3 simple words. We're going to look at 4 different versions. We're going to start with Vyasa, who is probably the foremost commentator on the sutras. What does Vyasa say this sutra means? Well, according to this translation, it is motionless and agreeable form is asana. A motionless and agreeable form of staying is asana, or yoga posture. So it's important to understand that sthiram is his idea of motionless, and sukham, is agreeable, and asana is yoga posture. So this is how yoga asana is performed, is when you are motionless and in an agreeable form. Okay, so that's like our traditional stance on it. Let's take a look at some others. And we're going to take a look at the probably more scholarly perspective. So that's more of a traditional perspective. This is a scholarly perspective. This is Edwin Bryant. He says, posture should be steady and comfortable. Posture should be steady and comfortable. Slightly different take there. Yeah, okay. Starting to get a pluralistic sense around how all this might work together. I like it. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Gregor Mahl's version from his book Ashtanga Yoga, Practice and Philosophy. His take on 246, posture must have the 2 qualities of firmness and ease. So there we are, firmness and ease. All of a sudden, in this pluralistic kind of calculus here, we're starting to get a good look at how asana is qualified by these 2 opposites being met at the same time, right? Sthiram, Sukham. Let's take a look at one more. Okay, now we're going to look at Reverend Jagannath Carrera, his version here in Inside the Yoga Sutras. 246, he defines as asana is a steady, comfortable posture. Okay, so now we're really getting somewhere. We're getting a lot of agreement, and we're getting some difference in some of the nuances. Let's take a little bit closer look into the nuances of the words themselves, Sthira, Sukham. All right, we're going to take a look at his follow-up book he did, I don't know, like 9 years later or something. This is, again, Reverend Jagannath Carrera's Inside the Patanjali's Words. So this is where he's breaking down the specific words, giving all the different translations of the Sanskrit words. We're going to start with āsanam. This is, again, just posture. He goes on to say it's to be present, sitting in a particular posture, a seat, couch, place, stool, abiding, dwelling, maintaining a post against an enemy. That's an odd one. Let's just stick with yoga posture, okay? Let's bring it back to his options of definitions for the word sthira. So the first one is steady. We've heard that before. Firm. He goes on to say, a steady seated posture prepares the individual for the practice of meditation and allows the meditator to begin the practice of pratyahara, drawing of attention away from the senses. For more on sta, the root of sthira, refer to 1.8. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Got it. Pratishtam, from the Sutra 1.8, knowledge is unreliable when based on errors in perception, which result in false information regarding the true nature of an object or event. But Pratishtam Prati meaning down upon, near to, or in opposition, and then sta here in this case is to stand. Okay, so probably not helpful to go further down that road. We'll just kind of back up our exploration van to Sthiram as a rigidity, a firmness, a steadiness. Let's get into Sukham. Sukham. First word he says is easeful. Can also refer to joy, happiness, running swiftly or easily. Usually applied to the chariots, things like that. Pleasant, agreeable, gentle, mild, comfortable, happy, prosperous, virtuous, pious. The sky, heaven, pleasant. More on Sukha, refer to Sutra 133. Let's go. So here we see that Sukha can be defined also by its opposite, which is dukkha, distress, meaning uneasy, uncomfortable, unpleasant, difficult, pain, sorrow, trouble, to cause or feel pain, discontent. He goes on further to give more definitions of Sukha as well. Agreeable, gentle, mild, comfortable. Here we go. Prosperous, virtuous, pious. Sukha in Hindu mythology is the child of Dharma and Siddhi. So the child of righteousness and perfect accomplishment or power. So what do we do with all this information? How do we make this make sense? For me, this is a sutra that's pretty straightforward. In terms of how do I apply the practice on the mat, it's about engagement. That's the word. The engagement brings an awareness, a sensitization, an attention, and then ultimately an ability to reflect on our experience. When we're present while it's happening, we can then garner education, a learning, a growing, and healing from what we experience to then use in the real world. So when I'm in a yoga practice, oftentimes we're talking about alignment, we're talking about all these aspects of asana being modulated and measured by alignment, by stretching, by range of motion, by strength, by balance. Patanjali says, focus on these two opposites being in conjunction to create the disposition, the power of the posture, one of being steady, firm, solid, the other also maintaining ease. And I think that just this simple teaching, this simple aspiration is a great way to explore asana in a way that can give you so much on the mat and off the mat. And this is also a great way to look into how we explore the pluralism of yoga in ways that we can infer meaning and magic from the mystery of it in our own practice. And this is just one sutra from one perspective of one writing, but iterated through the translation and definitions by so many different teachers. And I just think that this is a really wonderful way to explore your own sense of truth around what does it mean to you? What is your felt experience? Because as Patanjali would say, yes, it's important to listen to authoritative testimony. Yes, it's important to have inference around what we can implicate the meaning of such things to be. But ultimately, the most important thing that we can do is discover through direct experience what it means for us. And the coolest thing about yoga is that it asks us to invite ourselves into the question without necessarily a promise of a easy, fast, or agreeable answer. That question might unfold into deeper questions. And so we're going to take this first sutra as an invitation to explore the next two and only remaining sutras on asana in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So stay tuned for those videos coming up for a triangulated, pluralistic, interpretative, direct experience exploration of Sutras 247 and 248. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think about Sthira Sukham āsanam. How is it showing up on the mat for you? How is it showing up in your life outside the mat, especially through the holidays? What a great time of year to be steady and easeful In fact, maybe no more important time of year to be such. So keep up your yoga practice. Till we see you next time. We'll see ya. Bye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.